This week on Talking Pictures with Neil Rosen, we'll look at the latest Mission Impossible film starring Tom Cruise, called The Final Reckoning. The new series Your Friends and Neighbors starring John Hamm. A documentary about concert promoter Ron Delsener. The TV series The Diamond Heist, plus an assessment of the series finale of A Handmaid's Tale. We've got all that and many more movie picks coming up. I'm Neil Rosen, and welcome to Talking Pictures. It's our monthly Critic Roundtable show, where we debate what's worth watching and what's not when it comes to new releases, hidden gems, and Hollywood classics. Joining me are Bill McCuddy from the popular podcast Sitting Around Talking Movies. Do give that a listen. Bill Bregoli from WSYR, and Roger Friedman from Showbiz 411. Now let's start out with a look at several new films or series in theaters and or streaming, beginning with the new Mission Impossible movie. It's called The Final Reckoning and stars Tom Cruise. Let's take a look at a clip.
CIA Black Vault break-in.
Am I reading this correctly? The Kremlin bombing?
In fairness, the bomb was actually meant to kill him.
He gassed a security briefing.
That was just 2 months ago.
This explains the handcuffs. It's still not clear why he's here.
If we want to bring the world back from the brink, we have to deal with him.
Should he choose to accept? Smart people on every side are close to panicking. What exactly is your plan?
Bill McCuddy, let's talk about Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning.
If I choose to accept it. Yeah, listen, this is reckoning, all right, because 8 movies later and $4 billion at the box office, we're finally tying a bow on this thing. And I have to tell you, I'm not that thrilled with this. I liked the last half. I liked the first part. And I realized Tom Cruise was shot 5 years ago because this has been in the can for a while. So he looks great. We're back with director Christopher McQuarrie, and he has talked Cruise into some impossible stunts. But the plot involves a chat AI that likes to chat about ending the world. And stopping it involves a lot of chases, surprise, and a deep dive into freezing waters where Cruise gets the bends for about a second. The cast includes Ving Rhames for a little while and Angela Bassett as the president, but at 2 hours and 54 minutes, this seems to be mission unstoppable. And there are points in the movie where it seems like the cast is just reading Cliff Notes. They explain this thing over and over and over again. Can't recommend it. And I will say, for the first time in the series, you can watch this one at home.
Bill Bregoli.
Want to see my Tom Cruise imitation?
Sure.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
That's how he runs.
That's how he runs.
That's how he runs.
At least he can run.
He's
can run a lot
fun.
faster than I can.
I call an Uber.
What are your thoughts, Bregoli?
He's fun. There is a lot explaining to do in this movie. And they do these scenes where there are several people in the scene and each has one line explaining something. And you know, with the 4 of us together, we're talking over each other, but one person does a line, another person, it seems a little stilted.
It feels like they shot them separately, actually.
Yeah.
And it seems like I know they were writing on the set because people were saying to them, we don't understand what's going on. But I thought the editing was good. You know, this whole explaining thing, they do explain a lot. And then when they're going to show you a Mission Impossible trick, they show it to you before they do it, so you understand what's going to happen. I actually was very happy with that. I liked being explained to, and I thought the editing of all of that was really great. So I thought they got a lot for that. I don't really know about this thing about Tom Cruise performing these stunts.
Yes. I sat next to you, and we were kind of making fun of they go, this is so green screen. Yeah. This is so fake.
It's not supposed to be. If it was, they're putting out a different story.
We were goofing on it through the movie. It looked terrible.
Well, here's the thing. I know that he likes to do stunts, and I'm sure he does a lot of things that we would never do. But even if they're done against green screen or in a studio, they're terrific. But it seems like it would be ridiculous for a movie studio to endanger the life of the biggest movie star in the world by saying, yeah, you could fly around at 25,000 feet.
That's what he signs on for.
It's too long. It's almost 3 hours. They could have easily cut an hour out of this. The whole plot can be described in like one sentence. There's an AI computer that wants to destroy every living organism on the planet.
I think I said that.
But they continue.
We're like the movie. We're repeating it over and over.
They keep saying it for 45 minutes with all this technobabble. Oh, well, if we, download the XG95 software and get this particular chip out of the submarine, and who cares? I was very bored. There's an underwater sequence that's ridiculous that goes on for like 40 minutes, where he's in this diver Dan outfit, and all of a sudden he takes all of his everything off except for his underwear. And in Arctic waters, he's 5 minutes underwater swimming to the surface, which is completely impossible. Yes, it's Mission Impossible, but I wish the movie had self-destructed after 2 hours.
I thought that was the best breathing scene since Waterworld.
Roger, tell us about Bad Shabbos.
Well, Bad Shabbos is a kind of a niche movie. It's the first Orthodox Jewish murder mystery that I know of. Some of it is
only Jews in the building.
It really is. It's like if Mrs. Maisel had a murder in the building.
The apartment is the size of Mrs. Maisel's
The apartment is fantastic. I think it's a house, or it's a duplex that they live in. It's beautiful. Kira Sedgwick and David Paymer are the parents of this 3 kids. And the daughter has a boyfriend who comes for Shabbos dinner, and things don't work out for him. He never even gets to the wine. And once they have a dead person in the apartment, they've got to cover it up because the other son's Gentile potential in-laws are coming for dinner. And the family doesn't want them to know that somebody has expired in their apartment before dinner. Some of it is very funny. It's very funny if you're Jewish and you live in New York.
I don't think it's very funny if you're Jewish at all. I don't think it's very funny, period.
Okay. I'm trying to be nice. It's a strange little movie. It played at the Tribeca Film Festival, played at the Hamptons Film Festival.
Right.
It's really not meant for theaters. It's really a movie for streaming. And it can have a nice life on streaming, but it's a niche thing.
McCuddy, new?
Oi. You know, you mentioned Maisel, which is one of all of our favorite programs, and those jokes land, and that show works. And this, yes, some of the jokes land here, but others don't. And I think people will be bored by it. So it's funny in a couple of places. Method Man is great.
Method Man. Let's discuss Method Man.
He's great.
He's playing Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, I know. I know the backstory. I can't recommend this, Bill.
No, I can't recommend it either. Every character in this movie needed therapy.
I was offended, but as a Jew, I was offended by the movie and the really broad stereotypes of the whole thing. As I said earlier, to me, I didn't laugh once during this entire thing, and it's really kind of stage bound. I'd say it would work better on a stage than it would in a film, but I don't think it works at all. So I don't think even if you put it in a theater that it would work any better. So I would pass on Bad Shabbos, bad movie. Your Friends and Neighbors is the name of a new streaming series starring Jon Hamm. Let's take a look at a clip.
Life boils down to a series of interconnected decisions. You get the house, the cars, the stuff. But how the hell could everything go so wrong so fast?
Has anyone ever told you that you talk a lot?
Well, I misplaced my inner monologue and my wife right around the same time.
How you doing, Coop? You okay?
Hey, you two, can I just say, I love that you had such a friendly divorce.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah! You know, it's getting harder to pretend that nothing's going on.
I just need to know how long I can float on what I got.
6 months, tops.
I'd been thinking. These houses have all this stuff no one would miss for a while, if ever.
Rich guy loses his big job, has liquidity problems, turns to petty crime.
Bill, what's up with Your Friends and Neighbors? Not your actual friends and neighbors, the streaming series. Your Friends
I don't
and
talk about them. This is easily the best thing Jon Hamm has done since Mad Men, and let's be honest, it's been a while. He's basically playing Cary Grant in Updated to Catch a Thief, robbing the aforementioned friends and neighbors, and Corbin Burnson fires him, and his ex-wife Amanda Peet needs money, so he's still got to at least convince his friends that he's working. He's sleeping with Olivia Munn, and there's a maddening number of subplots here. By the way, why doesn't everyone just assume he's gambling? Everyone's asking what he's doing all the time. I would have assumed with Yellow Cash he was betting on football
trading
or something. I recommend this a lot, despite some of the nits I have with it. And as I said, John Hamm is in top form here.
John Hamm is, and I agree with you that it is the best thing that he's done since Spider-Man, but he's actually doing Don Draper again, except in the present day, except instead of the 1960s to an extent. But I love the premise here, the fact that he's, it's a takedown of suburbia, and the fact that he has all these friends and neighbors when he becomes a thief, that even if he's caught in the house, it's like, oh, you weren't home. I thought I'd grab something out of the refrigerator. Meanwhile, as he's stealing a $250,000 watch. I think that's a great premise. And there's a lot of twists and turns and a murder mystery, which is how the thing opens up. And I like this very much. What about you, Bregoli?
I love it when rich people are miserable. And they are in this. And I never realized you had to insure a Patek Philippe. I have a $60 Timex at Lent.
What's the deductible?
Yeah.
A couple of things about this. First of all, John Hamm is really good. He was very good in Fletch. He had a Fletch movie that was terrific. And another movie I like called Beirut. But anyway.
Beirut is a good movie.
That's a good movie. But no, John Hamm is very good in this film. So is Amanda Peet. And I liked everybody in it. I sort of warmed up to it in the second episode. One thing I didn't like about it was it's supposed to be shot in New York and the Connecticut suburbs.
Westchester.
It looks like it's shot in California.
Yeah, the restaurants they go to all have palm trees.
Yeah, he goes to pawn the watch in the Bronx, and it looks like he's in Sherman Oaks.
Very funny.
So that part didn't work.
You could find parking. We knew it wasn't.
It's supposed to be a fictional Westchester community. But I agree with you.
I think it's very entertaining. It's along the lines of a lot of other shows that show rich people in the suburbs suffering.
Right.
And everyone likes that.
Right.
It is funny that he can go around to the different houses and steal things and they don't even notice because they have so much. I don't know where that exists. Maybe in East Hampton. But no, I think it's definitely recommended. And John Hamm is terrific.
Hamm is deadpan funny. And not only do I like the series, the only thing I don't like, which I won't reveal as a spoiler, is the last minute of the last episode of the show where the Hamm character makes a very unrealistic choice, but they want to bring it back for season 2, so that's television, ladies and gentlemen.
I did like the Maserati.
Oh, the Maserati was cool.
Yeah.
That trunk that keeps opening.
The trunk that keeps opening
up, which becomes a plot point later on. All right, let's move on. Roger, tell us about the new documentary about the legendary concert promoter, Ron Delsener.
Anybody who's ever gone to a rock concert in the Northeast knows the name Ron Delsener. He's the guy who invented the rock concert in the Northeast. He is the promoter of all time. All roads lead to him. And this movie by Jake Sumner is a terrific documentary. Delsener is quite a character. He's almost 90. He doesn't seem like he's a wiry little guy who is always on top of everything in the rock and roll business, and they love him. And I'll tell you who's in it. Billy Joel, Patti Smith, Bruce Springsteen, Steve Van Zandt, John Bon Jovi, Art Garfunkel, Paul Simon.
Everybody.
I mean, the list just goes on and on because he literally made it for all these different people. Simon and Garfunkel talk about it. Everybody talks about it. Sting talks about it.
He did the 500,000 people concert, which they show you in Central Park with Simon and Garfunkel.
He did. Not only that, he got them back together again by asking Paul Simon, who's going to open? They had broken up. And Paul goes through this long rumination of, well, I can't open for him and he can't open for me. And it comes right back to where Ron thought it would, where they performed for the whole concert together.
He's great at brokering. He was great. He's a little retired now. And his company, by the way, became Live Nation.
Yeah,
right.
So it was the formation of that. And I think that the movie really shows his quirkiness and also his genius about how he did this.
You know Ron.
Yeah,
right?
I know him from the Hamptons. He comes to dinner parties that I go to. He's exactly like he comes across in this movie. There's a great moment with the filmmaker where he's eating a sandwich and he goes, shouldn't you be asking some questions or something? And he has that lack of patience with people. He has no filter. He's a riot to have at a dinner party. And I think this motion picture does him a tremendous amount of justice.
Totally.
He invented the sponsored concert series.
Yeah.
Now it's Coca-Cola and Budweiser, but back then it was Rheingold beer, and you could go to the Woolman Rink in Manhattan for $1 and see all these great acts. This is a great film about a great man.
But once he sold out to Live Nation and big companies like that, you can't go anywhere for $1.
Well,
and
that's
see
a different story. But this
and
is,
I wish they'd brought up more of that.
this is the origin story.
Well, this
it's
is
not his fault that happened.
It's not only a New York history lesson on rock music, it's also my history, because I remember the Schaefer music contest in Central Park, and I remember the Ron his name was always
Ron
above
Delsener Presents.
Ron Delsener Presents above all the acts. I remember the Carnegie Hall stuff, the Palladium stuff, the Central Park big great lawn stuff, and then ultimately he brought the Beatles to Forest Hills. I mean, the guy really has, as you said, set the stage, pun intended, for the history of rock music. And I think if you do remember that era, it's nostalgic. And if you want to learn about music history, it's great. I highly recommend this documentary. And also, all the stars, all these rock and roll stars, love this guy. It's like he took them on when they were nobody. Like, yeah, I'll take a chance on Billy Joel. And did you see the ticket prices on one of the posters? Top price was $6.50, and like the cheap seat was
there was a time. David Bowie was I won't say nobody, but he had an act that was like a novelty act. He takes him to Carnegie Hall, and suddenly his career just takes off.
Yeah.
There's a million stories like that in this, and I highly recommend it.
Yes.
Bill Bregoli, let's discuss Nonnas. And you, of being of Italian heritage, are the perfect person to take the lead on this particular Italian-themed movie.
That's right. And we called my grandfather Nonno, as opposed to Nonna. This is masculine and feminine.
Made sense
And
of
then this is based on the true story of a guy named Joe Scarabella, who, after his mother passed away, decided to honor her by opening an Italian restaurant in Staten Island. And all the cooks were grandmothers, Italian grandmothers, spitting on each other. And it's true. The first thing two Italians ask each other when they meet is, what part of Italy are you from? In Bologna, in my case. Anyway, he's played by Vince Vaughn, and the cast includes Susan Sarandon, Talia Shire, Lorraine Bracco, Brenda Vaccaro, Drea D'Amato, Linda Carolini. Lots of people with vowels at the end of their names. And if you're wondering, what do they all look like all these years later? That's right. And look, it's heart is on its sleeve. It wants to be very heartwarming. I didn't find it all that believable. And restaurants are a much tougher business than they make out in this movie. And I don't know, the cliches started to get to me after a while.
Yeah, I think it's cliche-ridden. I think if you like some of these actors, you're going to want to visit it. It's part of a disturbing trend of older actors, and I want them to work, but they seem to be taking anything, like 4 of them going to the Super Bowl and meeting one of the stars there, or any of these getting together for one of them having a wedding, and they're going to have...
We're all going to have makeovers.
Yeah. This is, you're right, has its heart on its sleeve, probably perfect as a streaming movie, but again, you have to be a fan of some of these actors. Oh, don't be a fan of Vince Vaughn, because he's got his name on the thing, but he's not in it as much as you might think he is.
But he's playing against type. He's not that
not
usual
the motor mouth.
Right. Yeah, kind of.
But he also doesn't
he's
seem...
a sentimental Vince Vaughn.
He doesn't seem Italian at all.
Right.
No.
But the 4 women, Susan Sarandon and Brenda Vaccaro and Talia Shire is wonderful. They're all wonderful. And I just got a kick out of seeing them. And I love the food. And it was well made. The cinematography was terrific. So for a streaming movie on Netflix, it's perfect. Would it have been big in the theater? No.
I think the Nonnas, all 4 actresses, I think they're over the top at times. I don't think that is their fault. I think the director should have reined them in a bit, or certainly the screenwriter, as written, should have written it a little played down a little bit. But, there are a few very warm moments in this, but it's very predictable. I'm not going to give away spoilers, but there's really nothing to give away because you just know what's going to happen all along the way. I mean, he busts in on first of all, you talked about the restaurant business is tougher. Well, they were going to close down the restaurant at one point because there are no customers coming in, so that's pretty tough. But he goes to visit unannounced, the film critic. You kind of see where that's a food critic. You kind of see where that's going to go. And there's lots of stereotypical in this. And,
what do you mean over the top? Come on, come on!
I mean, and the music.
Just
Talk
the way
about
I was
stereotypes.
with Bad Shabbos, I thought it was stereotypical. I thought, you being Italian, I thought there was a lot of like bad stereotypes in this
But listen,
particular
wouldn't
thing.
you like to go to the restaurant in Staten Island now?
I'd love to. It exists. It's a real.
It exists. It's a real place, and I'd like to go see it.
Does it still exist?
Oh yes, it's really
Well,
right there.
If people watch this movie,
Let's go to the Big Night restaurant now that Tucci is actually
That's a better food.
actually cooking.
That's a much better food movie. So is Chef is a better food movie with what's his name?
Well, we digress. John Favreau.
Thank you very much.
But the bear is what. It's
Oh,
sort of
the bear.
like
The
it's,
bear
this
is-
is sort of like the PG version of the bear.
The Bear is the ultimate food series.
Vanity strikes, humility speaks. Insanity lives on the edge of the streets.
The singer and songwriter Garland Jeffries has been described as one of America's best-kept secrets.
People that know him cannot believe that other people don't know him.
This is a story that happens every day.
He's in the great singer-songwriter tradition of Dylan and Neil Young, one of the American greats.
His most recent album, The King of In Between, Garland Jeffries.
Politicians kiss my ass. Your promises that break like glass. Coney-eyed in winter.
That was a clip from the new documentary, Garland Jeffries, The King of In Between. Happens to be Roger Friedman's personal choice as we go around the panel, as we do every month, with our critics' picks of the month. Roger.
Well, this is a big month for rock and roll documentaries. I'm very excited about this one because Garland Jeffries has been a huge star on the East Coast and even in Europe. I don't think he really sort of generated so much on the West Coast, but he had a lot of hits in the 70s. Wild in the Streets was one, Matador was another.
These were big hits.
They were hits, and they're still played all the time. He's Bruce Springsteen's favorite singer. He sort of grew up with Lou Reed. Laurie Anderson and Steve Van Zandt and Maureen Van Zandt are all in the movie. There's a lot of reference to Bruce in the movie. And Garland is an incredible storyteller. His music is, beautifully expressed. He's sort of like Puerto Rican Bob Dylan, And what's happened is, over the years, he had a lot of trouble getting played on white radio or black radio because nobody knew what he was exactly. He came from Coney Island, and that's where the king of in between. That's where he fell in between. So he had to fight for everything he did. And incredibly popular. Anytime he played New York, the Bottom Line, the High Line, any club, sold out. You could sell it a week at a time. Now, unfortunately, he has Alzheimer's. His wife, who's really a warrior, put this movie together, and everyone that they knew participated. It starts playing in theaters June 6th, and everyone should go see it.
Bill, what's your pick?
Well, let me begin by saying I like anything, and I mean anything that Tom Hardy is in, with the exception of Havoc. Do not rent Havoc on Netflix. But this is a series that completely missed me during COVID called Taboo. It's on Amazon Prime, and Hardy is in 1812 London fighting for his late father's estate, and particularly a plot of land in Canada that has the whole world fighting over this little strip. Jonathan Pryce is the evil tea company baron that wants to stop him. This is mystical and cool. I think it's about 8 episodes for the season I'm in now. I'm only halfway through. Highly recommend it.
Bill Bregoli, what do you got this month for your critics' pick?
I have a documentary called The Diamond Heist. And it shows how in 2000, a group of career criminals in London decided to pull off this huge heist of a gigantic diamond, 200 carats worth, that the De Beers company was showing off at a place called the Millennium Dome.
De Beers. Sorry.
And it's got gypsies, gangsters, crooked cops.
And it's a documentary.
And it sounds like a Guy Ritchie movie. And it is. He didn't direct it, but he executive produced it. And by the way, he's also got a movie that just opened up on Apple TV Plus called The Fountain of Youth. So if you want to see something he actually directed, check that out with Natalie Portman.
My pick is the series finale of The Handmaid's Tale. Now, I've been watching this series for 8 years, and it really is a great show about the horrifying dystopian future of what could happen in the United States. The writers intentionally try and draw some parallels to today's world as a cautionary tale. Now that it's over, I was counting on them to wrap up all the loose ends that have been going on for all the many seasons that this series has been on the air. And although this last season was quite good, and the penultimate episode was fantastic, as the Handmaids, after all their suffering, tried to bring down Gilead, but the last episode didn't really wrap up that much. We still don't know the fate of June or her quest to find her daughter Hannah, and the reason for this is Margaret Atwood, who wrote the original book, has written a sequel called The Testaments, and that's going to become a new series. So instead of wrapping up the storylines in a satisfactory way, we now have to watch a new series to find out what's going to happen. I have tremendous admiration for the series The Handmaid's Tale, but I wish it could have wrapped up with a good conclusion. Elizabeth Moss, Bradley Whitford, and everybody else involved, like Ann Dowd as Aunt Lydia, who will be in the new series The Testaments, are terrific, but I wish it was just kind of done and wanted it to end satisfactorily. So the choice is wait till next year to continue to see the fate of these characters or read the book. I'll wait, but I would still give The Handmaid's Tale, the entire series, despite its inconclusive ending, on my Big Apple rating scale out of a possible 4, I'd go 4 apples. Well, that's about all the time we have. I want to thank Bill McCuddy, Bill Bregoli, Roger Friedman. I'm Neil Rosen. Join us next time on Talking Pictures.